Samita, I've started
Yeah.
letting people in. So
Okay.
just should we begin our session and then we can start? Couple
Should
minutes?
we wait till we've got everybody there, do you think, or roughly the right number, or
Maybe wait till 5 past, that is the most, I think.
yeah. Okay.
Hi there. Hi, the session will be starting shortly. Osman, if you can keep your microphone off, we're just kindly asking. Thank you. Perfect. Spito, shall we kickstart?
Yes, let's.
Amazing. Thank you all for joining us this evening for our information session on the eVisa transition. My name is Marion Buffo. I am the Policy and Public Affairs Lead here at We Belong. Before I hand over to Samita Pujara, We Belong Senior Outreach Solicitor from Quorum, who will be leading on tonight's session, I'd like to quickly run through some housekeeping rules. So the session will be recorded. So please we kindly ask that you keep your cameras off and your microphones muted. The session will run until 7:30. Towards the end, we have dedicated a segment for Q&As. For your questions, you're welcome to submit questions throughout the sessions via the chat box. My colleagues who have joined this session and myself will be monitoring the chat, and we will send this over to Smita, who will do her best to run through those questions and address it. But please understand that due to time constraints and the scope of the information provided, she may not be able to answer everything, but we'll do our best to follow up with follow-up emails that we sent with the presentation slides. It's important to note that the information session is based on the current guideline that has been released from the Home Office, and there may be updates after today, and we're hoping to organise another information sessions like this around early December to address any new information, but also, as you know, the deadline for registration for the eVisa is on the 31st of December, so we do highly recommend that people do this before the deadline. So please do stay connected, keep an eye out on our social media channels. And just a reminder, please avoid sharing personal or identifiable information in your questions. Keep them relevant to the topics discussed in tonight's session, which is for information purposes only. We do have a dedicated legal advice clinic really there for one-to-one sessions. So that is really the space for Smita to assist you with your individual cases. I'll now kindly hand over to Samita, who will be leading on tonight's session. Thank you.
Hello, everybody. Good evening. I'm Seema Malhotra, and as Marion very kindly introduced me, I'm the outreach solicitor from Quorum, and we have arranged to provide this clinic today on the subject of e-visas. I will just repeat that right now, the foundation of the system is still changing in some respects because there have been consultations with the Home Office, with stakeholder groups, and there are so many different scenarios being presented that the Home Office don't yet know the answers to all of these. So it may mean that today I will be able to give you what I think I know, but it may well change. And we will hopefully clarify things by the time of our next workshop. But right now, today, we're able to, I think, provide as much as we can to enable you all to understand what it is and what you need to do and what is involved. So if we go to the first page, please. What is the e-visa scheme? In a nutshell, the Home Office have decided to go digital. And what that means is that after the 31st of December 2024, your immigration status will no longer be in the form of a physical document that you can hold, like your passport or, well, your biometric permit, but actually online in your own specifically created account with the Home Office. I was reading today that they are hoping that most people will have created an eVisa account, although they haven't yet given us any figures. I do think that the timing of this could have been dealt with a bit better by the Home Office. They started to flag up this digital system probably about 8 months ago when people were getting their new biometric permits, because people were seeing, oh, my biometric permit ends on the 31st of December, thinking, well, that's when their leave expired. So it's now kind of very much in process, and really what this is about is all of you getting your individual accounts up and running and being allowed to access your immigration status online. And obviously, from a very practical point of view, it will also allow you to give share codes to your employers, to your landlords, and to any other third party who you give permission to with a share code to see what your immigration status is. And it will say what it is. It will say whether or not you have any conditions attached to it. And it's free. And according to the Home Office right now, from a digital point of view, it is going to be secure. So some of you may remember, if this has happened to you, if you've had a BRP permit and you've lost it, the real trials and tribulations of trying to replace a BRP card, all of that will be now gone because it's going to be on your phone. So in terms of who it impacts, I would say it impacts all migrants with leave to remain. It's obviously not going to be of concern to British citizens. It's also not going to apply to European Union citizens because they are dealt with by the European Union, the EUSS scheme, settlement scheme, which actually was the forerunner to this scheme that we're going to be talking to you about today. And I think that the Home Office have realised how useful and successful the EUSS online system was. And there are some other things about it, which as well I will talk about towards the end of this, which have been very helpful, I think. And so they're trying to really copy this over into everybody else so that, you know, immigration status will be digital across the estate. Now, my third question there is, when do you need to take steps by? I'm going to say now, really. So if you want to give it a go after this session, please do. Some of you may have already done this. You may just be here to get some extra information. But I would do it now. And certainly looking online today, in terms of the messages from, you know, second, third tier advisors, CABs, support groups, and even solicitors that are giving information sheets on their websites, we are really encouraging people to get this done now, sooner rather than later, and do not wait nearer the time. Because it's a digital system, I think we would all know what could happen if it's overloaded and things get so busy. And you will appreciate why I'm saying this as we go through this course today. But I do think that don't wait till the 31st of December. Don't wait till the 30th of December. Do it now. Right. Next slide, please, Martin. So I've actually been really fortunate to be able to kind of work on preparing this workshop with Mariam and also Martin, because I've also been able to open these accounts and actually work this process practically with clients already. And we are going to do our best today to try and kind of convey this by these screenshots and an online course, as opposed to you being in a room with me and me showing you what to do. So what you need to have before you start is your valid passport or a biometric residence permit or your application number, which will be the 16-digit number from your application, and also an access to a smartphone or any device with internet. Interestingly, I saw somewhere that they're suggesting an iPhone 7 or an Android, but anything with internet facilities, a mobile phone number, and an email address. Please don't panic if you're thinking, I don't have some of those. I will explain that as we go along today. And as you can see, so it's passport or BRP, whatever phone you've got, a phone number and an email address. And you must have all of that in front of you, ready to access before you start the next stage. So if we can go to the next screen. But before we do that, Martin, just let me just say from the 6th of August, 2024, the Home Office has announced that all individuals with biometric residence permit can make an application. So you can see that's not so long ago. And the way that I kind of see this, and others have as well, is a kind of two-stage process, so that you are, number one, creating an account. You are then confirming your ID. You're giving all of that to the Home Office, and then they will come back to you saying, here you go, here's your account, you can open it now, in which there will be your digital immigration status. So if some of you, and I'm sure you have done, had experience of doing your own online applications or working on them, just kind of imagine you're creating a mini application to the Home Office. And again, I have had some experience of EUSS work, so when I was working on this, it did remind me a lot of the EUSS, which in terms of generally dealing with Home Office digital systems. Okay, next page, please. Now, stage one, as I said, is how you create your account. And that's what it is, creation. Number one there, that is a link that we've had from the Home Office. It is a link that we have had from stakeholder meetings. And it is essential, really. Now, what I'm going to do today is go through each stage on this session today. And remember, before you start the process, decide what document you're going to be using, whether it's your BRP card or a valid passport. And neither of these will allow you to create your account. Next page, please. So I have said to you that I have been assisting individuals to create their accounts, and I have a number of individual clients who don't have the technological abilities or understanding to do this on their own. Even though they've got their own mobile phones, when they come to see me, they really struggle to bring up their emails. And so what the system does allow you to do is it allows somebody else to create the account for you. And I've put there your solicitor. It doesn't have to be. I will later on explain what legal personnel can do, but I have come across now social workers assisting individuals to open their eVisa accounts, mental health support workers, nurses in doctors' surgeries. I've come across various scenarios. So there is nothing to stop someone else doing this for you. And as you can see, you need to fill in your details there, your name, your date of birth, your email address, your mobile number, the identity document you're using, and then the BRP or the application number. That's all really important, because as you go through this system online, they will send you security codes to either your email or your mobile phone to allow you to carry on going through the process. So next screen, please, Martin. All right, so here we go. On the left-hand side there, you see the create account. So that's what you'll see when you first access the link, the GovUK link that was at the two screens before. And you'll see at the top there, it explains, that you need to create a UK account to view your immigration status. Access someone's account so you can help them get an eVisa. Act on behalf of someone who cannot manage their account, for example, a child or vulnerable person, and confirm your identity, update your details, or get proof of your immigration status. And then it tells you what details you're going to have to provide. And then it asks you there on the right-hand side of the screen, what document are you going to choose? So you choose. So far, I've only used biometric permits. And as you can see, your BRP cannot have expired more than a year ago. I think that qualifier opens up a whole series of scenarios that I may not have the answers for you on today. I think, as I said earlier on, as the system moves on and as time moves on, we will get more clarity from the Home Office. But so far, I've worked with individuals who've had biometric residence permits that have been valid. So if we can go to the next screen, Martin. So it then asks you for your biometric residence permit, which most of you will know is the long number that you would use when you make applications to the Home Office, and it is in the top right-hand corner of your biometric permit. And then it asks for the expiry date. And so what that is doing is that your biometric residence permit details will be linked to your account. And so whenever you sign into your account, you will need to use this biometric residence permit number if that's the document you've chosen to use. So once you've done that, on the right-hand side of this screen, by that point, they will have sent you an email to confirm you've created an account. They've created an account for you. But what you then have to do, the digital scenario carries on here. You have to then sign in to your account, and then we will move on to the second stage, which is about confirming identity. So you sign into your account and you click on sign in there at the bottom. Martin, could we have the next screen, please? And there's the email that says that we've created an account for you. And now we're on to the second stage. So we're linking your eVisa to your account, okay? Now, once you've created your account, the system will automatically prompt you to download and switch to a mobile app to scan your identity document and take a new photo of yourself. So there's a very helpful illustration there. If we could just go back to that screen, Martin, please, sorry. That's exactly what it looks like when you download the app on your phone, and then you just press continue. Next slide, please, Martin. So this is the second stage. We're linking your eVisa to your account. And this is really all about confirming your identity. Those are the identical screenshots that you will get off the Gov UK website. And again, it reminds you that you're going to need to have your identity document. I think these will be really helpful when we give out the written training records for all of you, so you can all look back at these and say, have I seen this screen? Have I seen this screen? To show you how the process moves. So if we could go to the next screen. Right, I'm going to say that I have personally found this second stage the most challenging, not because I find it difficult to follow what they're asking me to do. It's technology and how effective it is working on a particular day. I've been looking online at a lot of individuals who've been giving out very helpful YouTube videos about their experiences. And one of the common things that comes up is that people say you've got to be in a fairly well-lit space, and you need to have quite a bit of patience. And I would agree with them. Again, it's going to ask you to do a number of things to confirm your identity. And the first thing is that you scan your ID document. So I've only worked with BRP cards, and the way it works is you scan the back first using the UK Immigration ID app. And once that's scanned, the app will tell you, good, we've got that. And then it will ask you to scan the front, which you do. And as I've said there, the app will tell you when it's been scanned to allow you to move to each stage of confirming your identity. Now, the second stage is scanning the chip on your identity document. There is a chip in passports, in newer passports anyway, and there's also a chip in your biometric permits. Now, this, I think, is the most challenging and the one where you have to take a deep breath because it does take some time and you need some patience. You have to physically place the mobile phone on your biometric permit. Now, so far, we've worked out at Quorum that it seems to work better on the front of the biometric permit and when the biometric permit is almost at kind of right angles to your mobile phone. It may work differently for other people, and I think it has done. But this one takes longer. And as you try and it can't detect anything, they'll say, not detected. And then what it will do very often is take you back to you scanning your BRP again and going back forward again. Now, once it detects the chip, you stop moving your phone, you leave it completely still on the card, and you'll see a little green bar go across to show that it's been detected and it's scanning. And once that's done, then it will allow you to go to the next stage. So number 2 is the one that we have found the trickiest. The other thing I was going to say, if you've got a case, you've got a phone in your case, take the case off. That's helped us as well when you're trying to scan the chip. The third thing is scanning the face of the applicant, which is like a digital scan, really. And again, if correctly done, it allows you to move on to the final stage, which is a selfie photo of the applicant. Again, lighting, no shadows, and the photographs have to be in accordance with kind of passport photo regulations. And then if it's taken and the image is correct, if it's not correct, they'll tell you, and you have to keep trying to get the right image. Once they get the right image, they will say, here it is. This is the image that we're going to use. Is that okay? And you say yes, and you approve the photograph. So I think what I'm going to say about that is that you have to try it a few times. I'm also sorry, I was also going to say is that on the scanning, something that came up last week was that the system warned me that I only had 3 or 4 attempts to try and scan. And somebody else told me that if it's more than 4 attempts, then you're logged out and you have to wait 24 hours before you can get back into the system. That hasn't happened to me yet, but just thought I'd flag that. So next screen, please. So these are really the screenshots from the Gov UK website, from the Gov UK website, telling you how to download the app and then connecting the app to your account. And that can be either with a connection code or scanning the QR code. And that is all pretty self-explanatory as you go along. So if we could have the next screen, please. And then you'll be told when you're connected to the app. So once you've done 1, 2, 3, 4, next screen, please, Martin. So you know the scan of your document, your chip scan, your scan face, and your photograph, and that's all been done on the IDV app. We then return to the Gov UK website, and the system will tell you to go back there. Okay, so you've confirmed your identity, you go back there. So they then want you to reconfirm your personal details, to give you secured access to your account. They'll ask you if you're in the UK or not, how you prefer to be contacted, mobile or email. I'm finding that the people that I helped would preferred mobile phones, actually. And then you have to set up account security questions, just in case something goes wrong when you are trying to access your account. I've had some of the clients I have been helping have found it very difficult to kind of cope with remembering, actually, particularly things like security questions. So what we've done is just taken a kind of screenshot of the security questions and what they've used as their answers. There's 3 security questions. So the usual things about, you know, things like first school you went to, where was your dad born, where was your first job, and then there are other questions. So maybe just screenshot the answers so that your clients who are struggling to remember things have got access to them, just in case they end up having to rely on them. And then you approve the declaration that you're entering correct and true information. I'm going to say that before you press submit, it would be wise just to make sure that you have entered everything correctly. just in case there are mistakes. But so far, the system seems to kind of run in a way that it is not so complicated. It's looking for very personal details. So I think, but just check. And then when you're checked and you're absolutely sure, in the same way that you are when you make a Home Office application, you press submit. So the next screen then, there we are, confirm and submit. Next screen. So what you've done now then, you've created an account and you've linked your eVisa to it. And you then really wait for the Home Office to get back to you to say, okay, it's all up and running. Thank you very much. And you can now sign in and access your immigration status details in your account that you've created. I've put there in point number 2. We were told about 3 weeks ago it would take 10 days. I've come across situations now where people are hearing within 24, 48 hours. That just could be because they haven't got huge amounts of people doing this right now, which is another reason why getting this done sooner rather than later is quite important. Particularly if people are going to have to wait. Okay, so, you know, the idea of doing this like maybe on the 24th of December and thinking it's all going to be fine if you've got a holiday planned, don't do it. It's just too risky, because I think further down the line, as we near the end of December, I think the system is going to be up against it. So the way they let you know is really, you know, they will send you an email. Some clients have said that Home Office emails are tripping into their junk box. So always check your junk box. I mean, that's just a general rule. We're dealing with the Home Office, I think, but please do that. Obviously, if you're using somebody else's email because you've got no email address, I haven't had that situation yet. You're going to have to make sure that they're checking their emails. And I've just put a note there really about the links and how you sign in, you know, your BRP card, the number, and what you've actually done so far for the Home Office. You know, you said, here you go, I've created this, I've added in my personal details, I've confirmed my ID, and the outcome has to be that you will then have access to your immigration status via your own eVisa account. Okay, next. Now I'm quite focused on this next slide actually, because I think that as a system, it isn't foolproof. And I think the whole concept of digital access comes to mind here, that not everybody has it. And even if they have it, they don't really understand it. And I've had, you know, parents who are asking their older teenagers to help them navigate this in the same way that they would do the Home Office application system, actually. And I think it kind of presents itself as being reliant on mobile phones, email addresses, and also having, you know, the ability to know what to do, jumping from the Gov UK app to another app and then going back. I mean, you know, I've had to myself stop and pause a few times to really understand what's going on. So I think that the issue of wrong details by mistake, it's going to happen. It has happened already with other practitioners I've spoken to. And as we speak today, we've got 2 examples where the wrong date of birth was entered. And in fact, that was being done for a parent, and their adult child put the wrong date of birth in, put the day of birth in the month the wrong way around, in error. So you would think that you could perhaps correct that. But, as I said, once you press the submit button, it's very hard. You're prevented from going back. And it's in the same way as a Home Office application. They always ask you to check, don't they, before you press send and pay your fees. So what the Home Office are saying at the moment is that we are going to be providing support where mistakes have been made, administrative errors of this nature. We've also had another situation where the wrong nationality was entered. It was a bit more complicated than that, but it's very important to look at your biometric permit on the back and look at what the nationality is. For most countries, it would be the country that you're from. But for some countries, for example, like Palestine, there are codes. And you have to enter that code on this system and not Palestine or the Palestinian territories. So, but we are all kind of learning by mistakes here. So as we go on, I will tell you that they have now set up a designated service for individuals who've entered the wrong details in error. I had one client let me know that she had emailed this wrong detail section. They call themselves technical support about the wrong date of birth being entered. And she had a phone call after about 5 days. And she has been told to try re-entering the new date of birth. I mean, I'm not quite sure how she's going to do that. But she was also told that she could send documents in by post, which I'm not particularly positive about, just in case things get lost. But also she was told that they are looking at ways now to tweak the digital system to allow people to restart a fresh application. Okay, so, and I will give you that email address towards the end of this presentation. There's certainly a link there. And obviously IT skills I've mentioned, not being at the level for this required process. I've then put there that you have learning needs or disability. I mean, that I will say will go a bit wider, and I'm going to just talk about that a bit now. The Home Office position is that they are very eager for this to work. As I said earlier on, they are comparing it to the success of the EUSS. And therefore, one of the other things that they've put in place is a resolution centre, an actual phone number that you can ring to raise your queries or even ask about what to do, even if you haven't yet applied, which is great. And I'm going to give you the link for that. They've also said they tested this system, and of course they tested it through the EUSS and other digital processes. So, and what they've done in relation to wanting the system to work for everybody is to recognise that there will be help required for vulnerable groups. Now, I've looked on their website, and currently the categories of those in those groups are the elderly, the isolated, the disabled, children in care. I will say children in care is something which we have pressed the Home Office more about from Quorum as well. We just want more information about that. And again, I might have more information on that when we come to our second workshop in a few weeks' time. Those with mental health issues, those with significant language and literacy problems, those with no permanent address, those in an abusive, coercive, controlling relationship, victims of domestic abuse, and those who are victims of human trafficking. Goes quite wide. I think it's incredibly important. And I think it was something that was recognised with the EUSS scheme. We've yet to receive any clear response from the Home Office as regards individuals who may be in the prison system and who have leave to remain, foreign nationals. But that is again something that we will be pressing and hopefully. And what I will say to you is that once you have created your eVisa account and you have it and it's open and it's accessible, you can travel. Now, one of the really useful things about this digital system is that you can always go back in, you sign in with your details, and you can update things. And the two things that I think will need to be updated across time will be potentially people's passports. So let's say I get an account today, and then in February next year, I want to travel, but I realize I have to renew my passport. The minute I get my new passport, I have to go into my eVisa account and put my correct passport number in there. Because remember, your details have to match what the border force have when you're going through the country, coming in and out the country. So remember that. I think that if the details are not correct and they're not synced in, there are going to be issues. Okay. Now, I read also today that I think that they are expecting difficulties at borders, at ports, airports, carriers. And I read today that there is going to be a dedicated phone line between carriers and the Home Office. Okay. So I can't tell you how that's going to work, but they are putting things in place to deal with the early teething issues on this. And I do think, though, that I would not advise anybody to travel unless they've already done all of this before they leave. I think it's a little bit precarious, and it is always better to have all your details with you, before you leave the country, so it's all right for you to come back in. Something that shows what your current immigration status is. And I've said there at the bottom in bold, don't worry, there is support to help everybody get this right. We don't have a lot of time, so it's best to start doing this now so that you can work through it and get to the end of it and have everything that you need. Okay, next one, please. Okay, I've put this in actually because it's something that came up at a practitioners meeting I went to. As a legal advisor, and I'm hoping that we've got individuals here who are or involved in some other level, OISC advisors, accredited advisors, you can help clients that come to you create their eVisa account. So to do all the work that I've just said in this workshop so far, that has got to be, and I've put this in bold, separate from being given immigration advice. The golden rule, remember, is that you cannot give actual immigration advice unless you are regulated. Okay, so I've just referred to OISC there, which is really that any help that we give can be of a technical or digital nature, and so it doesn't fall within their practice notes and what regulates them. Okay, and just remember, be cautious not to stray into providing immigration advice and or services unless the person is regulated in accordance with the Immigration and Asylum Act. That's just a really important point, I think. I think you just set time aside and explain to the individual, this is what I'm going to do for you today. And if any questions are asked about their applications or their status or whatever, you can't really do that unless you're regulated. Okay, so just remember that. It's incredibly important. And then the next one, please, Martin. So I've put here some useful links and resources. There is so much online. I've tried to give you what I think would be helpful for now. Things may shift, of course, as time moves on and we get to the nearer date. I've put the Resolution Centre at the top, and that's a really helpful link there, phone numbers. There is also a web chat. And I've also given you the YouTube video, which I've watched, which I think is quite helpful. I will, when we send these notes out, if people want them, also add the video for traveling in and out of the UK, which I think will be very helpful. And then underneath there, I've put some other videos that are there that the Home Office have produced. Now, there's a separate section at the bottom there about support, just because really, as I said earlier on, it's a new system. There will be issues. And, you know, as I've said, the concern for individuals who simply don't have the know-how or the access to getting this done efficiently and on time, I think it's going to be quite significant. So I've put there the South West Law Centre support service. As I understand it, the Home Office have spent over £4 million in grants to certain organisations to provide specific support around eVisa assistance. And they are going to be publishing the full list of those organisations. So there are 4 national organisations, one for each nation, and 68 local organisations that have been grant funded to support people to create standalone eVisa accounts. They will not be funded to provide immigration advice. So that goes back to my point about OISC, though about half are OISC accredited. They are going to publish the names of those local organisations on the 16th of October. Now, what I will also do when we send the training notes out is send the link on that as well. So far, we know that Migrant Help is going to be the organisation for England. And also the Home Office will be doing a lot of paid advertising campaigning around this to help people create accounts. So that's it. If we could just, sorry, Martin, go back to that last slide. I just wanted to say that the 3 million, so the 3 million link there, the 3 million are an organisation who have done a huge amount of work for those that fall within the EUSS, European citizens in the UK, and the issues that arose with digital status. Now, they are continuing their work on wanting to gather together examples of problems that people are having. So they've got this really excellent link there called Report It. If you want to report anything to them, then you can. I think it's quite important for feedback. And they have sufficient standing, you know, to get this information back to the Home Office. And there's also a link there at the bottom about how to access your application, because remember I said you can go back in and update it. So think of it like a small application just for yourself that you can go in and tweak once you've got it. You've got your status, but if you want to change details, you just go back in by signing in. So there are just there's more links there about grant funded organisations. As you can see, the full list of organisations is going to be updated over time, and that's the 16th of October date I gave you earlier on. And I've just put a link there for the media blog. So I think that's it for now. I hope I haven't gone too fast. Mariam, do you want to just finish off on that and then we can go on to the Q&A?
Amazing. Yes. Before we jump on to the Q&A, thank you all for submitting your questions. Just to flag up, as I mentioned in the start of the session, we run monthly legal advice clinic. So it's appointments. So we do recommend that, like, this is just to provide you with guidance on the eVisa. If you require further information, or if you require just like in terms of technical assistance, please do utilize just like our legal advice clinic, register. I'll be sending over follow-up emails with the presentation slides, but also with the registration link to our legal advice clinic. I would highly recommend that you utilize it. But if you have any questions, we're happy to assist from there. Our next session is on next week, Wednesday, and then the 23rd, but we do run monthly. So in the lead up to the deadline, if there's specific questions around the eVisa transition, please do reach out to us. If you experience any issues, please do let us know as well, as we will be monitoring the situation, and we do want to make sure that any issues that are being felt by you guys, that is also being reported back. So please do keep us in the loop as well. Thank you. I've sent over questions to you, Smita. So yes, so keep the questions going.
Are they in the chat or?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So let's just go back. So Chris, I think, said at the first one, and is that right? At 6:15? Yeah. It doesn't apply to art cards, because individuals with art cards don't have leave to remain if you're referring to an art card for an asylum applicant. Now it does apply to those with indefinite leave. Apologies for not dealing with those with indefinite leave to remain. And that's a very, very good question, Chris. So the issue for those with indefinite leave to remain, and Chris, this will connect to the later question I think you've just posted, I just saw flag up, is that there are still many, many individuals who have their indefinite leave to remain on a stamp in their passport, or they have a letter from the Home Office. Okay. Now, about 3 or 4 months ago, there was a kind of general agreement amongst practitioners that we needed to make sure that any clients that we had with that issue had to apply for a biometric permit, because they needed a biometric permit before they could have the eVisa provision. Okay. Now, as I understand it, and I will check this, Chris, there have been large numbers of NTL, no time limit applications that go in. It's a form called the NTL. It's free, it's not charged. It's an online form. They've received lots of those applications in the last few months because people are realizing they need a biometric permit. They are not going to be, as I understand it, issuing new biometric permits after the 31st of October 2024. I'm going to check that. I did hear that today from somebody. Okay. And I think what they're hoping to do is, if they've still got applications sitting in the system that aren't dealt with by that October date, Chris, they're going to just be issuing e-visas. Now, I'm going to say to you that is a conditional response. I have to check that for you. I could jump to Chris's later question about people who have applied for no time limit and are still waiting. Chris, depending on when you applied, I would think about seeing if an MP could get involved. I'm finding quite a lot of MPs helpful to progress things. If not, and this is potentially new territory, but a kind of pre-action protocol letter, potential judicial review on the delay and the impact this could have on your client. But I think it all depends on when you applied. I mean, the ones that I did took about 6 months. So I just think there are going to be lots of them in the system beyond October. And I think that as we go through the next few weeks and we have more stakeholder meetings, this is something that we're going to have to pin the Home Office down on, actually, I think, most surely.
So can I just ask them, sorry, so just confirm. So if you've got leave to remain or
Yeah.
indefinite leave to remain, you do this eVisa thing. Where if you have an art card and you're waiting for status, you don't do it.
That's right.
The issue
Yeah.
that we're going to face is people who have an indefinite leave to remain application in process. Would they still use their leave to remain details, biometric card, and all that details to create this eVisa account, or would they have to wait for their indefinite leave to remain application to be completed before they can do the eVisa application? Because we've
Okay,
got
so that's a separate question, Chris, isn't it? So that's about someone applying for ILR as opposed to somebody who already has ILR who is applying for an NTL. So the NTL is separate, yes? You're now asking about someone who is applying after completing 10 years, who've got pending ILR applications. Is that what you're asking me?
well, we work with young people in care, so they do 5 years
Yes.
leave to remain, and they apply
Right.
for indefinite leave to
Yeah,
remain after five
sure,
years.
sure.
Yeah.
I think that if you think about this, they do say that you can put your application number in. Okay. But the other issue that connects to this, Chris, is that there was a meeting last Friday with the Home Office where one of the issues was how is the e-visa system going to evidence 3C leave? Okay, so for those that don't know about 3C, this is where you've got a pending application that you've made in time, which continues your leave automatically by operation of law, and you don't become an overstayer, and all the rights continue. They're going to come back to us on that, Chris, okay, about pending applications is what I'm trying to say to you. And I don't know the specific answer to that, okay? I've got a couple at the moment where I just got them to create their eVisa accounts before we made the application for ILR. And we had them done, and then we made the ILR application. I know that doesn't work for everybody, but that is something that we are talking to the Home Office about. So let's go to the next one. So is that Addy has said, I have done it since the 16th. Do you mean that you have done those 2 stages and you're waiting to hear back from the Home Office? I presume she has said that. Well, I've provided the web chat details, and I've also provided the resolution centre details. There is also an email address that will become available. If you have access to legal assistance, Addy, the Home Office have issued a couple of email addresses that only practitioners can use. I can't disclose those today to you, I'm afraid, because they're for practitioners. But if you do have that, then maybe try emailing and using the web chat. I mean, that's 16th of September. You really should have heard by now. Check your junk mail, check all your emails. Okay. So Mahmood says, how will this affect traveling? Well, I think I'd explain that. I've kind of said that the golden rule has got to be that you've got to create your account and have it all up and running before you go. So the first 2 stages, and then you hear back from the Home Office and make sure that all the correct passport details are there. And, I know this is going to cause difficulties for some people, perhaps some people who even miss the date. I don't know. But I do think you need to make sure that all the details are correct so that you have no problems leaving the UK and no problems coming back in. This is also another one of watch this space. I think as the weeks go on and people are traveling and people are reporting issues, we also have to assess how this system is going to work around the communication that takes place between carriers and those in immigration, to see how effective that is. Right, so if an applicant has lost their BRP card, can they use their travel document to verify their ID. So if you mean by that a passport, yes, is the answer. Chris again, am I guessing the best way to do this is to do the whole process on a phone, then laptop? Absolutely, absolutely. I think so. That's pretty much what I do. So that was a good question, Chris. Thank you for that. Right. No, Chris. I just think that the position has got to be that they must create their eVisa account before they travel now. I think people need to have this up and running and heard back from the Home Office. And then do whatever they want to do in terms of traveling. I think I raised what the issues would be. And I just think that it needs to be done well before the 31st, if possible. And I know that may not be the case for so many people. I mean, I did look at something today about individuals who, there are still some individuals, Chris, who have got biometric permits that are expiring in the April or May of next year. Now, provided they've got a valid passport and they've got their leave until sometime next year, there was some suggestion that people could still travel. The difficulty is going to be is that Border Force and authorities are going to be using this new system. So an individual, I think, must do everything that they can do to make sure that they have no difficulty. Okay. And, you know, the message clearly from the Home Office right now is that people need to have this sorted now. And I would like to think that people are doing that now. And then also, obviously, by the 16th of October, we'll be reaching out to organisations that can provide them help if they need it. So is that Muniat has asked a question? The answer to that is yes. And what's also interesting about that is that they will be able to use your passport number, Muniat, to also verify your details. So the answer to that is yes. The thing to do is to look at the Home Office video on travelling. It's quite good. Tell you exactly what the systems do. So Addy, you've logged into your eVisa account. Is that what you mean? I can only see that I think she means BRP expires on the 31st of December. I think they might be taking time in amending everything. Marion, I don't know what you think about that. Can you see?
Oh, for the question, yeah, it's referring
Yeah.
to the BRP. But if there is, again, what you mentioned, Samita, it's just speaking to the support team as
Speak
well.
to the
Just ask.
resolution centre. I mean, one of the things I was going to say to all of you today is that just remember, okay, that 31st of December 2024 date has caused so much stress and anxiety for people. It wasn't clearly explained when those BRPs were issued. And I've still got individuals that think their leave is expiring then. And that's totally understandable because it wasn't explained. Also, because of the lack of issue of actual physical status letters to people, what I'm telling people to do is to go back and look at their most recent grant of leave, because on those letters, there should be the date that your leave is actually expiring. So just remember that even if you're creating your eVisa account now, it doesn't affect your immigration status if you've got leave. There's going to be a transfer of everything onto that digitally. So I think, Addy, you need to contact the resolution centre. Chris, are you there?
Yeah, I'm there.
Hi, Chris. When could you just give me an idea of when these individuals applied for ILR?
Well, I'm just mindful that we might have some young peoples who leave to remain might expire sort of now or last couple of weeks, and they've made an application for indefinite leave to remain. So
Yes.
again, you kind of answered that we'd do the leave to remain details and put it on the system, I'm guessing, and then update it, or it'll get updated when we definitely leave to remain.
Yeah.
I'm just
Yeah.
mindful that we've got obviously if the young people we support indefinite leave to remain expires between now and December. And you've kind of said do it now and then apply for it after. But if they've got, say, their 28-day window opens tomorrow, for instance, obviously this could take, say, a week, 2 weeks for this whole process to be done. Let's, for instance, worst case scenario, that we've then eaten into the 28 days by, say, 2 weeks, then that only gives them, say, 14 days to apply. So I'm just mindful. I just wanted to know what the best advice would be. And if someone's made an indefinite leave to remain application, say, last week, and they haven't heard back yet, obviously, do we wait until that indefinite leave to remain application comes through and it's been granted, or do we go ahead with doing this whole process using their BRP card details for their leave to remain, because they'll still have that card, and then the system will update it once indefinite leave to remain has been granted?
I mean, I think it's a very good question, Chris. I do think, right, the fundamentals here can be forgotten, which are that you have to protect an individual's leave. Okay.
Yeah.
You do. So you have to be very pragmatic and say, we need to get this in on time. Okay. When you've got individuals applying for ILR, are you talking about individuals that have had 5 years under the private life category? Is that what you're talking about?
So we work with US children in care, so they've been in care and then they come after 5 years, so they might have leave to remain.
Right.
They might have
Okay.
refugee status
Okay.
or humanitarian protection,
Okay.
and then
Right.
applying for indefinite leave to remain after the 5 years.
Right. Well, I think the priority has got to be that you secure their further leave or their further ILR. Okay. I think that if you think about this, actually, if you think it through, it doesn't affect someone's immigration status. Okay. And I would be really fearful if we all got entangled in digital technology over these e-visas and we let someone's leave slip. And you're mindful of that. Yeah. So I would make the applications that need to be made. If you've got a window to get the e-visa done, then do it. Okay. That's a more ideal situation if you can do it. But ultimately, it's got to be about protecting the individual status and making sure that they don't become overstays and that it's in time. Would you agree with me on that?
Yeah, definitely, because they'll lose everything. They'll lose all their ability to claim stuff. So I'm
Well,
guessing,
exactly,
can
exactly.
I just ask them which links into this? If say, for instance, they're making that process and they haven't done this yet, can they still do this after the 31st of
Yeah, yeah.
December? Yeah,
That's going to
that's fine.
come. That's coming. That
Okay,
information is
cool.
coming.
That's
They
fine.
know, they know. And it was the same with um the EUSS, Chris. When we had all those, we had, I think, 2 or 3 separate deadlines extended for people. Okay. And I think they know there's going to be people that large numbers of people that don't apply by this date. Okay. So I just think that let's wait. Okay. If there are any changes, then I will, as soon as I get them, I'll report them through We Belong, or they'll be on the Home Office website. But I think that they anticipate people who won't be able to do this before the 31st, and that will also bring in the individuals that I talked about in terms of the vulnerable groups. Okay. So we have to wait and see what's going to happen. I'm sorry to sound vague on that, but that's really what I think. Is that okay for now?
Yeah, perfect.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay.
think so. Just send over just 3 sets of questions, and then we can.
Leanne, I don't know about art cards. I have got no idea. Haven't heard anything. Not an asylum practitioner. But obviously, if something were to shift there, then that it would be notified. I don't know of any plan there.
Okay, thank you.
That's all right. Are there any more, Mariam?
Yeah,
Ah,
so
here we are.
okay, great. Would you want me to read it out or got access?
I was wondering if the Home Office is planning on contacting people with BRPs with this guidance. No. I'll tell you what they're doing. So I tell you what was interesting was before the 6th of August announcement that everyone could now open accounts, I was getting emails as a solicitor in relation to cases where I had given them my email, but they said, if you're a lawyer, ignore this email. And these emails were telling me, it's like a do not reply thing, telling me to create my eVisa account. And then I was getting, clients being contacted and getting emails and being told to apply. But now there is just a generic direction that people apply. And I think you make a very good point there in your question. You would not have known about this unless you'd come today, or just generally just falls into the conversation now. I think the shortage of time and the way it's been thrown upon us is very concerning. Given that there are so many delays across the Home Office estate generally, you wonder how they've tested this, and I just hope that their faith in this is as strong as it proves to be.
The next question
Osman, I
is,
don't understand that. If you
I
lose
think
your BRP after 25th of October, what do you mean? I don't understand that. Have we got Osman there? Hello?
so. I think it's more of updating a replacement. So if you had registered with a BRP, that's my assumption. But Osman, feel free to use the chat box. So if you had registered with your current BRP and then you had lost it, is that something that, oh, okay, maybe Osman, if you could clarify your question, actually. I think is that, oh, am I correct to say, do you have to update the process? I think Samita had answered, you would just have to update your account with your new BRP card. Hopefully that answers your question. And Samita, just another question is, just the last question actually. My BRP expires in November 19. Should I still create an eVisa account or wait till I renew? Yeah.
I think you should try, Jill. I think you should try. There's not very much time there. I think you could try. And if there are issues with it, contact the resolution centre. Or what you could do is ring the resolution centre before you apply and say, what do I do? And remember, everybody, when you ring the resolution centre, make sure that you get the name of the person you're speaking to. Okay. It's a short time period there. I mean, it's an interesting one as well, because if you waited, the other thing I seem to be seeing online, Mariam, is that they're going to be issuing e-visas anyway. But I don't really. November the 19th. Is Jill there?
Yes, I'm here.
Hi, Jill. Hi.
Yeah.
Can I just ask you, is that what's expiring on? Is that limited leave to remain?
Yeah, it's leave to remain.
Limited leave. You've got limited leave, have you?
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Why don't you ring up the resolution centre and see what they say? Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, you haven't put your application in yet, have you? It's not less than 28 days yet, isn't it? Yeah. Why don't you just ring them and see what they're saying? Can you report back to Mariam and see what and tell us what they say?
Okay, I'll do that.
Okay.
I'll do that. Thank you very much.
All right, no problem. Okay, any more, Miriam? Oh, do we know whether people who now get granted status will have their account set up already? Very good question, Leanne. People who I've had granted status in the last month have now started to get a section on the bottom of the email granting them leave, telling them you must now create your eVisa account. Okay. I also got one the other day that said that, but it also said your BRP card will follow in 7 to 10 days. But that's probably because it's still before the 31st of October. And I think you're right. I think once the BRPs are no longer sent, somewhere on the decision letter, you will be told to log on and sign into your eVisa account where your new status will be. But I would have thought that you will need to be notified of the type of leave you're being given, on what basis, you know, unless we put.
Does that mean, sorry, so obviously where you do the whole like scan the cards, scan the chips,
Yeah.
obviously they won't do that because you won't have your BRP card because they won't send it out. So I'm guessing, would all that automatically be done from the Home Office on this system? And then you, because I'm just mindful, how do we know the process of that? Because I'm just mindful that, you know, we get young people getting status like on a weekly basis. So I'm just mindful, we want to make sure that we know what's happening because they won't get a card. And is that the same for indefinitely to remain? If they make an application indefinitely to remain, will that just automatically update on the eVisa system, or not? Because I'm just
Well, I think, Chris, that if you think about the digitalization process and you think about what it does, I mean, we've got now online appeal systems, right, in immigration. And every time something happens in the system, I get an email telling me something's happened. Okay. A decision's come in or a direction's been made by a judge. So it's going to be reliant very heavily on email access and checking to they will feed the information into the account and they will tell you that it's there, and then you sign in and it will be there. I'm saying this, Chris, do you work for a local authority?
yes, I do.
Yeah, right. So we've put many questions to them about your role in relation to children in the care system, and that they're looking at all of that. So I know that this is a question that we've put to them through core and we haven't had an answer back yet. Okay. But I think it's moving ground, and as and when that happens, then we could let you know. Okay, I certainly would let you know.
Thank you.
Okay. They've also not really answered many questions about who should be the appropriate adult to create these accounts, and what if there is a falling out between, say, someone in foster care or a care leaver and their personal assistant, and who should have access to the information and that kind of thing. They haven't really thought through all the different scenarios yet. So, but we have put all of that to them. The travel documents not accepted. Is that Lucy? Yeah. This is another question we've asked them we don't know the answer to, about what happens with people that have lost their BRP card. I think this is going to be in the same bag as the individuals who haven't done anything by the 31st of December. I think there's going to be there have to be a separate assistance given to individuals who've done that. When you say travel document, Lucy, do you mean a passport? Is Lucy there? Don't know. She means a passport. I know colleagues that have used passports and they've worked. I mean, again, it will be a resolution centre issue. So this is from.
Samita, I think we have Gifty that has raised their hand for a question.
Okay.
Hello, good evening.
Hi, Gifty.
Yeah, you okay?
I am, thanks.
Yeah, thanks for the information. Yeah, I just want to ask. I have 2.5. I just got it in I think July, but because it's expiring in 31st, I'm traveling and I'll be back on 21st. How is it going to affect me? 31st of December.
Yeah, but so if you got 2.5 years in July this year, Gifty, yeah,
Yeah.
then that doesn't take you to the 31st of December. It's just the BRP that's expiring. Your leave will goes beyond that. Yes?
Yeah, yeah.
So what you need to do is just create your eVisa account now. That's all you need to do.
Okay then.
All right? Okay?
Okay.
Yeah?
Okay. Okay.
That's all you need to do. And don't book, and remember, do that now, okay, before you book anything to travel, okay? Because
Oh.
more people are going to be applying and there could be delays. And we've already had someone on here who's been waiting since September. Okay, so just get it done. Okay.
Yeah, I think I've got it. I've done it, but I haven't linked it to the app yet.
Yeah, well,
Because
that's
when I,
what you need to do. That's what
okay
you need
then.
to do.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much.
Okay. Mariam, I was just conscious that someone said something about not feeling trusting of the Home Office.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that's a very valid point. I mean, one of the things that I've read is that people are fearful that a kind of Windrush situation could result from this system, you know, people just losing their status, not being able to evidence their status, not being able to come back into the UK. Let's just hope that that doesn't happen. I think for now we have to try and engage with it and get them done, and also people accessing the support that is available and not to feel that it can't be done. Okay. And okay, is that it? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you very much, everybody. Thank you.
Thank you. And please do stay connected. And if there's any issues, we highly recommend that you all register before the deadline. If there's any issues or concerns that you have, please do reach out to us. We do have a dedicated legal advice clinic where we'll be able to support you. But yeah, we hope to stay connected with you all. Thank you so much for joining us. And we hope to also offer another session like this in December. So stay tuned. And thank you so much, Seema, for leading.
Thank you.
tonight's
Thank you,
session.
everybody. Good evening. Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you. Okay. I'll talk to you tomorrow, Mariam.
Yes, I'll definitely stay connected.
All right.
Thank
Thanks.
you. And
Thanks, Marty.